Welcome back. Welcome back. Apologies for the wait. We are live. U.S. Champs, round 3. How we doing? How are we doing? Got Robson Caruana up. And this is started off with c4. Went into Queen's Gambit. Declined. Bishop e6, e3, knight d7. Okay. Fabi playing interesting variation, QGD. Hopefully we didn't lose too much of chat. We got Twitch, we got YouTube. Welcome back, everyone. Let me see. Excuse me. Okay, so knight d7. Yeah, this is a critical line, or very trendy these days. I think White's main move is bishop d3, but Ray looks to be thinking about it here. But it's normal. I guess the main move for many years has been c6, e3, bishop e7. This is very common. Knight d7, and then White can choose either knight f3 or knight e2. And these positions are very, very normal. But I feel like White has always been pleasantly happy here, so yeah, Black is often looking for different ways of mixing it up. So this is one way, bishop e6 and knight d7, and then usually the idea is to play for like h6 and g5. Like let's say White goes here, Black goes c6, and then White has to develop the knight somehow. Black can go h6, g5, and that h5. That's kind of what they're playing at. And then White has to go with the bishop pair. Black has weakened the king side, and it's yeah, balanced position. That's kind of the typical way. Ray, though, not clear how recently he's looked at this line, so this might take him a little while to figure out what to do. Okay, but this is a big game. Fabi, of course, missed huge chance against Levon yesterday. Could have been winning. So he's now half point behind. Yeah, f4, definitely an idea in these positions as well, to try to get the knight to e5. And then Black has to be pretty active to respond to f4. Like if f4 here, one idea for Black is to go like h6 and g5. I don't know if it works here exactly, but this is one approach. And then the idea is to use the pin and try to go hg, and Black gets a very active setup here. But if Black doesn't do this, then f4 can often be very, very strong in these positions, especially if you can get knight f3, knight e5, bishop d3, castles can be really good. Really good for White. Okay, we'll come back to this one. We got Hans against Dominguez. Hans playing his usual Italian game. So it'll be interesting if he's able to put... There's been a lot of talk, a lot of buzz about Hans's expertise in the Italian game. So we'll see. We'll see if he can prove something here. And so far, I think this is all pretty standard stuff. Rook e1, a5, h3, h6, knight d2, bishop e6. White avoids the trade with bishop to b5. If the pawn was on a6, then White would have traded, I think, and gone like b4 and a4 and taken the space. But since Black plays a5, White puts the bishop on b5. And then I believe queen b8, queen a7 is a very typical idea here in these positions for Black, to bring the queen to this diagonal and force white to try and trade with bishop e3, and generally black is supposed to be okay there. But Lanier goes bishop b6, and Hans is the one that's thinking here. So I'm guessing that this is some kind of rare move that Hans wasn't expecting. But okay, still looks like very classic Italian game. Not the most interesting structure for me, but I might take a look, because I dabble with 1e4, and sometimes I might want to play these positions, so it would be good to try to understand a thing or two about them. We'll see how Hans approaches this one in terms of how he tries to fight for the advantage. Yeah, obviously he can take on c6, but it's not clear if that's really that great for white, because you give up the bishop for it, so I think black is perfectly happy there. Another move would be knight c4 to go after the bishop pair yourself. Knight c4, I don't really see the issue. And, oh, played, right as I said. I was trying to make an arrow, he made the move. It's like, okay, played. Okay, I guess Hans doesn't see the issue either. And Dominguez goes bishop to c5, so he was ready for that one. And this is still in his preparation. Okay, so I don't think we're going to see a repetition here from Hans. That seems very unlikely to me. We'll see, but unlikely. I imagine he's going to try to use his extra tempo and either go bishop e3 or knight e3. And yeah, we'll get a game from there. Did I have the same structure as this one? Let me see. Bishop d3 played, c6, and bishop f4 from Ray. So this is some kind of basically it's like a nuance, because he's keeping the queen on h5 or covering the square, because all of white's other moves essentially allow black to go h6 g5 and then knight h5. Like if you go knight f3 here, you allow h6 g5 knight h5, knight e2 same thing, queen c2 same thing. h3 I think is a move here as well, but bishop f4 is kind of similar to like white is just making a waiting move, and then let's say black plays bishop e7 or something. Well, g6 was played, Ray went h3, so this is his idea. Knight h5, bishop h2. And okay, so this is going to go into just kind of a classic Carlsbad structure. I feel like black is generally okay here, but you still have to play it properly. I'm sure Caruana is more than competent to handle the position. But we'll see what happens, or if he ends up deciding to play for more. But yeah, for the moment, this is very solid. Typical idea for black is to go knight g7 and bishop f5. And I think we might see this in a couple, maybe not right away, but maybe in a couple of moves, like bishop e7 castles, and then knight g7, bishop f5. And then if black can trade off these light squared bishops, the knight comes to f5, the knight comes to d6. In general, black stands very, very solid. White wants to go either probably knight f3, because now knight e2 and f3 is less desirable, having played h3. So probably the knight is going to f3, and white's going to play on the queen side at some point, like rook b1, b4, b5. And yeah, we should get a pretty reasonable game. But I think so far, I think things are rather okay for black. And I'm sure this is something Fabi has looked at, because he's played this pretty quickly, like bishop f4, g6, and so on. Question about queen b3. Yeah, queen b3 I think is not too scary. Generally, black is happy to meet this with queen b6, and they're happy to go into the endgame and weaken your pawns. If you take on b6, and a b6 opens up the rook. So I think queen b3, queen b6, black is totally comfortable there. Yeah, I don't remember exactly this one in my games. Because I think last round in Spain it would have been. Not the most recent tournament. That was, okay, I was black in a King's Indian. Most recent tournament. And then in Sitges, it was... My last round was also black against Mendonca. So actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what game. But I have had this with f4, d4, f4. Yeah, and I have played Trompowsky quite a bit, so I've definitely had that structure with bishop g5 and d4, f4. Yeah. Yeah, it's very double-edged. Okay, bishop e7 from Fabi, normal move. He's ready to castle, and then I think knight g7, bishop f5 is going to be the plan. It's kind of hard for white to stop this because g4 is very weakening, and you just get hit with h5 or f5 in the future. So I don't see g4 being likely. I think knight f3. Yep, there it is. See, I know these guys. I know these guys. Knight f3. I think castles or knight g7 makes sense here. Maybe knight g7 first, because you're threatening bishop f5 and then you're provoking g4. But if g4 now, then it's really bad with the rook on h8, I would say. Like, just, it looks kind of unplayable for white. Maybe not unplayable, but it doesn't look good. Maybe knight e5 is okay, but it's, yeah, black is getting good counterplay here, I think. So maybe knight g7 first, and then bishop f5, and then castles later on. Will be interesting. I think Fabi's gonna think about one of these moves. It will be interesting to see which one he goes for. He might not care. He might just think castles, knight g7, same thing. If g4, then there's h5, or maybe f5 here actually is better. And then black can kind of strike back like this. So, seems like either one is fine. Maybe I would then castle then as black. Maybe castling is more flexible. But yeah, we'll see. Hey, Hosta, how's it going? Hosta or Hasta? Oh, Hans' game, meanwhile, has developments. So Hans went bishop a4 in this position. Okay, normal move, getting ready to just bring the bishop back. Dominguez takes on c4. That's a bit unexpected. dc, knight h5. So Dominguez having some very sneaky prep here, because he gave up his light squared bishop. Normally you're not supposed to do that. And yeah, he's got designs on the dark squares. Knight f4, knight g3, queen f6 like Fabi from the first round. Definitely he wants queen f6, knight f4, and just asking why, like, okay, how happy are you to keep this bishop on c1 forever? Interesting. So it seems like he's pretty confident in what he's doing. He's caught Hans a bit here. We'll see if white can get anything. To me, it looks fine for black. Yeah, like I don't see how white is supposed to do anything with the light squared bishop. Like, where is it going and what is it attacking? Okay, you traded off here. Great, BC, and yeah, looks absolutely fine for black. Just queen f6, knight f4. Very simple, straightforward. Hosta, like host or toast? Hosta, got it. Thank you. Okay, let's see who else we got. Shankland. Oh, knight takes e5. Knight takes e5 is a thought. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, good call. And I'm sure Dominguez has some dirty trick in mind here. Maybe queen h4 or bishop takes f2. Bishop takes f2 might be fine. Let's just look at this line because we get so much time. It's classical chess. So this one looks okay for black. You give this check and then you take here. And material is equal, but black has a lot of weaknesses on the king side to work with, and black looks very active here. So I would think I would think black is really happy. No, interesting line to look at. I'm actually glad we pointed this out. But to me, yeah, this looks comfortable for black. Just a lot of weaknesses, and eventually white will probably have to give back the bishop. But it would be interesting to see if queen h4 might even be stronger. Just defending, hitting this one, which threatens the rook, and of course keeping the threat alive. Now white does have knight g4. Knight takes c6 I don't believe in. I think probably is just winning for black after either capture on f2 most likely. Let's say bishop takes is simplest. King f1. And I think, okay, bc looks fine, this looks fine. Okay, everything wins for black. So queen h4, knight g4, would this be a problem? Maybe white can get away with this, actually. I don't see the kill. Yeah, you guys let me know if you see something. f5, I thought about it, but an ef, rook f, or maybe queen d5 check first, and then ef. It didn't look like it was working. Bishop d2. Yeah, maybe knight e5. Maybe knight e5 without f5, actually. This could be annoying. This looks very annoying, in fact. So maybe this is it for black. Yeah. Because that looks... Okay, yeah, it's not over. Bishop e3. Bishop e3, and actually white is very much okay here. So maybe then, yeah, maybe we just go back to our original bishop. Maybe queen h4, because it's also actually queen h4 knight d3 as well, which maybe is an easier, because this, okay, we did grab a pawn, so black is active, but we took a pawn, so it might not be enough. So yeah, I think bishop takes f2 is the answer. Queen h4, and then this. And yeah, I don't think white has any edge here, and could even get under pressure very quickly with the knights coming in, I think. But that's the thing, imagine knight e5 is good according to the computer, and it's like best move, like 0.4 or something. But your opponent, Lenier Dominguez, 2740, bangs out knight h5. It's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're gonna just play knight takes e5, like you think you're gonna refute his engine? It's very dangerous. Oh, is there a question? Where's Hikaru? Hikaru not playing. He was at that Global Chess League thing, but yeah, decided not to play this one. Yeah, what about bishop c6 first, and then knight e5? So take. Black has to take. Knight takes. So here I'm going to assume again queen h4 knight d3 looks okay for white. So let's say again we do this. We get some position like this, which tough to evaluate at first glance, because black's pawns on the queen side are obviously ugly, but at the same time we have 3 pawns against white's 4, kind of holding them at bay. We have this like extra pawn on the king side. So it feels like black could be very active here very quickly, especially like rook d8 or f5, knight f4. I can imagine black being fine here. Yeah, I wouldn't think, actually, yeah, I wouldn't think white is like doing so amazing. Because it's difficult to get your stuff out, and black already has the queen and knight kind of in good position. So I don't know if this is so good for white. Yeah, feel free to check it. Yeah, and if you wanna let me know like what Compy says, it's totally up to you. That's fine. I appreciate the message. I do think no engine coverage is better. Like, 'cause it's more interesting because then you're looking at it the way Hans is looking at it, right? He doesn't have the engine on. He's not like, he doesn't know what the evaluation is. He just has to sit at the board and try to figure it out for himself. And so we kind of get the sense of what he's going through. And my role, I talked about this yesterday. My role for you guys is just to provide some kind of reference point, right? Like, people always say it would be cool to see like a normal person at the Olympics, so you can see like what an average person can do versus like the Olympics. So for me, I'm like your guys' average person of like how I see chess and how I evaluate positions versus how these guys actually play. It's much higher level. Okay, so knight e5, bishop f2 is really good for black. Oh, very good for black, really. Wait, with bishop c6 inserted as well, like that position's good for black, or without bit? Because without bishop c6, I can understand that. With bishop c6, I thought black is okay. I didn't think black would be better. Oh, okay. So with bishop c6, I feel like it's a different story, but not sure. Could be wrong. Computer says g4. Yeah, g4 is a weird move. Yeah, I would never play g4. Especially, I wouldn't play it given the situation. Like, my opponent's blitzing out all their moves and they've checked it with the computer. Like, g4 would be such a scary move to play. Hard to imagine this is even the best move. But I guess queen f6 and knight f4 is annoying. That's maybe the prep is very tricky. Sometimes tricky prep like forces you to make moves that are counterintuitive, like according to the computer, and then if you don't know that's the move, it's like, yeah, I don't think Hans is playing g4 here. Yeah, Hans had that g4 h4 thing against Fabi. That could have been very strong. That's true. He had that chance earlier. Maybe he'll learn from that game, but it really doesn't look like g4. From a human point of view, it doesn't look like g4 would be the thing here. Interesting. We'll see what he does. Because, yeah, g4, I would think black goes knight f4, and then I assume the idea is to take and then play some position like this, maybe, where try to play against the pawns. But yeah, it's hard to, it feels risky, I think, from white's point of view. Once it's on the board, actually, it's not that bad. Maybe this construction is pretty solid. I don't know. Okay, we'll come back to this one. In the meantime, Fabi, I'm just curious. Okay, so he followed the plan. So he knows the classics, I guess, just as well as anybody, including myself. So castles, knight g7, rook b1, bishop f5. And yeah, I think he's totally fine here. His knight can come to f5 soon, either after trading or taking on d3, and then knight f5, knight d6. In the meantime, white's going b4, a4, but in general, it's not the absolute scariest plan in the position. So, for example, b4, think actually there's different things, but black could have considered taking and going like knight b6, knight c4. Also, you could think about b5 here, actually. I think b5 is very reasonable. This one actually maybe not. a4, a6, a5. I think white's in time. Maybe not here, but maybe a6 first. a4. And actually, I think this might be fine even here. Like a5, knight f5, followed by knight d6, knight c4. I think might be totally okay for black. But probably he has other options as well. But yeah, I'm gonna say this one a-okay for Fabi. Han's still thinking. And then, okay, a couple of games we haven't looked at yet. Let me check Shanklin's game. Okay, Shanklin's got oh, it looked like some kind of Scotch Gambit structure at first, but no, it was actually Berlin. D3, C3, H3, castles, D4. Okay, so like a delayed D4. It is logical because black tries to reposition the knight, so white goes D4. Wesley gave up the center, goes D5, E5, knight E4, A4, A5, rook E1, rook A3. Love this rook left, like eyeing this G3 square. But now C5, so black getting a lot of counterplay. Knight takes E4, and okay, this is the live position. So Wesley thinking about this one. Yeah, sharp position, open. A bit open. Feels like black has very reasonable counterplay here after bishop takes e4, but I guess he's also thinking about d takes e4, which at first glance, I don't know, knight h4. Yeah, I see Aparin is already over. They drew their game. Typical juniors making a quick draw in the opening. Not sure what that's about. Let's see. So bishop f4. Bishop f4, Queen's Gambit declined, very, very solid. Knight bd7, a3, c5. I think c5 here is kind of the only move considered to be like the most challenging approach here for white, is taking this space, but okay. a3 is just a different option. But yeah, I guess this like isolated queen pawn position, honestly, it's not much for black. I think Oparin was well prepared here, and yeah, basically equalizes comfortably. So take here, here, and looks like they ended up repeating. So white snagged the pawn, knight e6, knight c5, and he had to come back here because otherwise knight d3 check is a big problem. He has to keep b2 defended as well. Black could have snapped here, but this endgame might be very dangerous for black after like rook b1 or something. Or you can also take here. So yeah, white would just be winning a pawn there. So looks like they repeated and made a draw. I mean, good prep by Oparin. Christopher not really showing much here. So he's going to have to figure out how to put more pressure against these guys with white and try to score more points. Come on, Christopher, you can do it. You're very tactical. You got to play some e4, you know, e4, some Scotch, some open positions. Take these guys down. They're not that good. Okay, let's go on. Yeah, Mishra Sevian, more juniors. D3, D6. Okay, another Italian game. And A5. So this is very similar to Hans against Dominguez. Knight D2, Bishop B5, and Knight D7. Okay, so in the other game, Black went Bishop B6. I think in the exact same position. Lanier went Bishop B6, Knight C4, Bishop C5, Bishop A4, take, and then Knight H5, and then Hans is thinking there. Here, Sevian goes Knight D7, which I think is another move. Knight F1, D5, knight e3, take, rook e8, a4, knight a7, bishop d3, and this is game position. Yeah, Sam won a big game yesterday against Robson. Very nice game with Jubava London. Kind of a model game for that opening, I would say. And he's now tied for first with Wesley. Wesley also won a very nice game against Christopher. Just kind of like, okay, Christopher, he prepared this line where he like sacks a pawn. He gets this compensation in the endgame. But then, yeah, Wesley takes the pawn and just keeps the pieces on the board. It's hard for Christopher to play like a computer for 50 moves. And slowly Wesley would just up a pawn and then he just milks it, just trades off all the pieces and converts the endgame. So very nice win by Wesley. He made it look very straightforward, but I think it was something that only a few players could actually do. Yeah, Sevian also playing really well. People talking about Chess Bomb and in Lee Chess. I miss Chess Bomb as well, but on Chess Bomb, were you able to turn off the engine analysis, or did you always have to see like the multicolored moves? This position, by the way, very unusual to me. Like, black has played knight d7, knight a7. Both of these knight moves look funky to me. You could turn it off. That's good. That's good. I actually don't mind. I feel like chess.com events is not that bad. I've kind of gotten used to it. I don't really see what the issue is so much. But yeah. Am I playing National Open in December? Probably not. The North American Open? Yeah. I just don't like that tournament, is my feeling. And nothing against them. It's just... Yeah, it's just not a fun tournament. 5 days, near Christmas, New Year's in Vegas. Like 2 rounds per day. I'm just done with the 2 rounds per day. I'm just over it. I guess I'm just over the 2 rounds per day. I just want to play 1 round per day and enjoy my life. Enjoy my chess. 1 round, I can really get into it, prepare for the game, get hyped up for it, go play the game, give my best afterwards, analyze, review. I can't do that for like 2 games a day. It's just can't do it. I have to be honest with myself. Hans win g4. Wow, let's go. Very surprising. And Lanier's like, dang, he found g4. I didn't think he was gonna do that. I wasn't familiar with this guy's game. Knight e7, knight c8. So yeah, Sevian's trying to like figure out where his knights are going. I guess e7, g6. I'm assuming this position's fine for black, but I don't know, to me white's pieces look a little bit better, slightly better coordinated. But maybe there's not much he can really do here. So I guess I'll find out. G4 on this board. And I wonder how long Dominguez is going to take here. And is he going to go back or just go knight f4? He must have looked at it because people were saying this is like Engine's top line, right? Yeah, very tough to play 2 rounds per day. Very tough. So I'm kind of, yeah. I know it's hard to do 1 round per day, but I feel like it's necessary. Yeah, 3 rounds per day. Yeah, I mean, 3 rounds per day. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. 3 rounds per day is just like, here, let's flip a coin, and then heads, I gain rating, tails, I lose rating, but probably it's going to be tails. What's the plan if black goes back knight f6? Good question. What does Hans want to do? It's hard to develop bishop e3. Number one, because you don't want to trade off your bishop, but number two, because e4 pawn would be hanging. Maybe g5, just to try to get the bishop out. To me, this seems playable for white, and you can even dream of some king g2, rook g1 ideas. Or knight h4, knight f5, queen f3, maybe a bit more active. Yeah, I don't know. My first thought definitely be knight f4. But knight f4, maybe take. I was thinking about this, and then e5. Maybe this is a bit of an edge for white. Interestingly, Dominguez is thinking about it. So I wonder what he's thinking about. Like, he should know the move, but maybe he has an option. He's thinking about which one to go for. I don't know. Okay, guys, let me see. There's some positions that interest you. Let me know. I want to check out. Let me check out women's games as well. See what openings we got here. Okay, there's pawn on g5 in Begum's game. Curious how that got there. Just trying to see. Anna, Irina. Ooh, legacy. Big legacy battle. Looks like some kind of London. Carissa, you have Jennifer Yu. That looks like a dragon. Ooh. Yeah, women often have more fun openings, honestly. much more interesting. Just for me personally, these are much more interesting positions. Like, okay, this game. Wow, Begum went g6. It takes a lot of guts to play Perk, but okay, she plays the modern way, like d6, a6, like this is. There's a lot of games here lately. So a4, knight c6, okay, d5, knight e5, bishop d4, g5, bishop e2, c5. Wow, black really playing frisky. I can understand g5. I mean, after bishop d4, f4 is a big threat. So what do? You either go c5 right now or you go g5. c5 feels like it was possible. Then take. If f4, you have c5 here. So I think this is okay for black. You guys let me know if I missed something. But yeah, why not c5? Because you really don't want to go g5. She goes g5, bishop e2, and now c5. Okay, still actually looks fine for black. After takes, like, maybe I'm biased. I like the bishop on g7, but c5, rook b8 feels like black has nice counterplay in the position. And not clear how white can really take advantage of this f5 weakness. Okay, so interesting one here. And then we have Carissa against Jennifer. What happened here? So Jennifer played Dragon Sicilian. Wow, against Carissa. Okay, kind of a death wish, honestly. I don't really know Jennifer to be a big dragon player, but queen d2. Okay, she plays one of these fancy h5 lines. This is new stuff. This is new. Actually, I'll be curious to check the theory here. But yeah, I saw Dubov was playing. I thought he was playing without bishop g7 though, so this is slightly different. But I saw black was playing this recently: knight c6, f3, and then h5 here. I mean, I think a lot of times the idea is to like meet queen d2 with takes, bishop h6, and then yeah, some line looks like black develops. Actually, this one I'm really curious about. So let me check the theory here because I feel like I wanna learn learn a little bit about this line. And clearly Jennifer prepped it, so it's probably interesting, or at least worth looking at. Let's see. So dragon. I had a little dragon. I had a little dragon file. That I was building. So knight c6, queen d2, h5. Yeah, castles. And then bishop d7. Carissa went king b1, right? So a6, knight d5, knight e5, and then that's the live position. So let me see what the theory says. So king b1, and then a6 is some games. And then Carissa went knight d5, some games, and then knight e5, and then, okay, with knight e5, we basically left theory. So I think both players are pretty much out of book at this point. Yeah, I'm not sure about knight d5 or knight e5. Like, okay, reasonable moves, but yeah, I don't know if they're necessarily the best. Engine might say something else. Definitely, it's an opening question. So here. And if black had taken and gone knight e5, then I guess we would see something like h3 followed by f4. Kind of how white tries to play against this knight. But knight e5 right away. Wonder if this changes things. I guess h3 would be the candidate move to try to play f4. Black probably goes rook c8. But then there's always this kind of tactic, right? Like knight f5 and here. But I guess knight f5, bishop takes. So this was my idea, knight f5 and here, try to win material, but okay, I don't know if this works necessarily, but bishop takes f5 probably just rebuffs the idea, because here, check, queen d7. Okay, instead bishop g5 play. I didn't come up with this move yet, but it is logical. You're asking black, like, what do you want to do about knight f6? Because now white's looking to take and double black's pawns, and then weaken this guy. So this is a big positional threat right now. And if black takes on d5, ed5, then white gets a target on the e file. Nice target, actually. So, okay, Carissa putting Jennifer under some pressure. Oh, why do we get spicier openings? Yeah, I think well, I think actually just the level of the players. Like in the open section, you have a bunch of 2700s, and in general, they try to be super solid with black. Male or female, 2700s, 2600s, they just try to have like rock solid repertoire. And so you see just, yeah, people trying to draw with black, put pressure with white, not take too much risk. US Women's Championships, most of the players are like 23, 2400. And yeah, which is where I'm at. And so this is where you see like more King's Indians, more Sicilians, you know, because people don't really care about drawing with black as much. You know, they just want to play their openings and try to win with both colors. Because at this level, you can definitely win with both colors. E3 poison, yeah, exactly. Okay, so we'll see. It's Carissa so far playing very well. She has 2 out of 2. She's also a very good open Sicilian player, so yeah, this is certainly her cup of tea. Jennifer, I know her as more of like e4, e5 player, but maybe she's done some Sicilian as well. But we'll see. She's very strong. She's a very big fighter, so I'm sure she'll have her chances. Who else we got? Okay, Nazi against Alice. Alice Lee, very strong. She plays very classical stuff. Here we have Catalan. D takes c4, okay, sharp. Knight d7, castle, c6. So Alice decided she's just going to try to hold on to the pawn today. But bishop g5, knight e5, and yeah, white is making all the typical Catalan moves and putting black under pressure. So This one's still very much going to be a debate. And myself, I always preferred white in these positions because I played a lot of Catalan growing up. And I didn't really love these positions as black because I feel like you're defending passively. But objectively, I imagine black is probably fine. Something like queen c8, I guess, would be my first thought here. Defending c6. Knight e5 is usually very risky after de. White has this attack. If knight d7, for example, let's say take, and there's like knight takes b5. And this is an example of how things can go very, very wrong for black in the Catalan. So knight e5, knight d5 played. So yeah, Alice is not interested in opening that up. Instead, she goes knight d5. I think queen c8 was another move. But this one makes sense, trying to trade pieces. And the question is, can white get some compensation for the pawn? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how you would do that. Maybe you could take... This is probably not much, but let's say we took here and went e4, and then let's say, for example, black took. Yeah, I don't know how much compensation white has in a position like this. You do have a nice center, you have like better bishop, but it is a pawn, and eventually black will kind of break with either c5 or e5. So yeah, this is a question for white. This is not going to be simple to keep some initiative. Maybe takes knight e4. And then just saying that, okay, if you're going to take, then you're going to give me the d6 square. So maybe this is one way to kind of keep some pressure alive. Not sure. Hopefully Nazi will figure it out. Okay, Claude Goblin, thank you. Have a good one. Yeah, Jade, Catalan's not easy. I mean, I think actually it's a really interesting opening to play, but certainly, yeah, you have to learn how to play it. Not straightforward at all. But yeah, not sure where they left in terms of the theory on this one. Let's see. Oh yeah, we had this game Zatonsky Crush I was interested in. I'm just curious. Oh, so this was Jobava London. E6 knight b5, a4, very okay, deep move. C6 knight a3. Okay, not so deep. Knight a3. you bring the knight back to a3, and then you don't have to worry about doubling your pawns. But isn't knight so good on a3? Bishop d6, e3, takes, queen d6, queen c1. So is Zatonsky okay? She's like definitely playing an interesting opening here. I guess her plan is knight c3, knight c2, and then knight f3, knight e5, which actually makes sense. If you can play c3, knight c2, then white's knight is going to be kind of well placed. Black's knight on a6 will look pretty bad. So interesting, actually. Yeah, I don't hate it for white. I absolutely don't hate it. I feel like this structure is actually very reasonable because you get this nice grip on the e5 square, and then white's double pawns can be really good in terms of controlling the center. So cool. We'll see how this one plays out. Let's see, Tatev playing her usual French, and this looks like a knight d2, knight c6 French. Okay, so Tatev goes for any French players in the chat. Can someone explain to me why wouldn't you just go c5, right? I feel like c5 here stands really well in the Tarash French. That's just me, but okay, knight c6, tricky line, but it seems like Tusa is perfectly fine, prepared here. To me, it feels very risky for black to play sidelines in the French because you're already playing the French. Now you're playing like a sideline. Like you gotta really know what you're doing. Be careful. But yeah, I like a lot of these positions from white's point of view. Oh boy. Getting a lot of issues with ChessBase recently. where it's just like corrupting. Anyone have issues with the chess base? It's just like corrupting files. It's like not saving stuff properly. Maybe it's just me. Yeah, it's Matt Chess. Thank you. Yeah, Bishop knight on c6. It's like against Tarash, especially. Like it only makes sense if you can break with e5. I mean, that's really what this position is all about. Yeah, the chess-based databases are like they're doing some weird stuff now. Very hard to use. IMO. Good thing we're building, different, in a different way, with the dojo site. So bishop b5 is an interesting move because, okay, on one hand, knight on c6 is not great, but yeah, if black gets ready to play e5, then you want to be able to hack it off. That said, could black just castle and go e5 right now? Feels like they could. Like castle, e5. Let's say take. This, I think, I think black is extremely happy here. Bishop and rook can develop super actively. So, yeah, I'm not clear actually. I mean, I'm not familiar with the line white played. I think bishop e2 is quite typical, and then castles, or knight f1 followed by knight e3, and then castling, and then maybe one day c4, b3, bishop b2. I think this is reasonable for white. It's been a while actually since I looked at this system. Maybe I should check it. But I don't really do knight d2 French that much anymore. So anyway, knight b3 seems okay, though the knight is a little bit weird for me on b3. Like, where is it going? Bishop h4, bishop b5. Yeah, very much a question. If black is going to be in time here, but castles, maybe white goes bishop g3. Take e5 anyway, because f2 is hit. Take. If castles e4, something like this, I would think black is, again, perfectly happy and active. h5, h4 is coming, knight g4, e3 stuff. Bishop a6 is a problem as well. The bishop can establish itself on this diagonal. So yeah, it seems like opening has gone well for black, from what I can tell. After castles, I don't really see how white can fight for any advantage. Like e5 is coming, and seems like black is breaking free. I mean, that's really black's only issue in the position, right? Is this e pawn is just very weak. But if you can trade it off with e5, you kind of free everything up. Okay, let's see. Jennifer's still thinking. All right, we'll keep an eye on these games. Let's go back. Wow, it keeps the arrows. Let's go back and see. Oh, Hans. He found g4 and he found g5. So this, okay, he's playing very well, or at least very interestingly. Hey, Lazy Detective, how's it going? Says, too bad both streams are showing 2300 group at the same time. Yeah, it's a bit disrespectful. 2300 group is actually like really, really strong players. Also, I mean, their games are a lot of times just more relatable, as I was saying, from the openings, because it's usually more openings that I'm more likely to see. But to each their own. Anyways. See, we got a lot of games to look at. Okay, so Robson, Fabi, we saw b4 and then knight a4. Oh, question about the Hans game. Yeah, is bishop takes c4 normal? Yeah, I was just saying earlier, to me, very unexpected. But then once I saw it, it was like, okay, it actually makes total sense. Because, like, how does white really do much with the light squared bishop here, right? Like, where does it go to punish black? Typically in this structure, white wants to get, like, a knight to e3. And then, like, d5 or f5 and pummel black on the d file. But yeah, it doesn't seem like white actually accomplishes much here, except, okay, maybe g4 is something. And but now I would think that black is, well, should be okay. I mean, Dominguez kind of went into this on purpose. MIP, thank you for subscribing. 12 months, 1 year. Nice. Enjoy that new badge. Okay, so, oh yeah, I wanted to check up on this Robson game. So he goes for, like, the typical b4, knight a4. Very normal, bringing the knight to c5. At some point, black is going to run out of moves and is going to want to trade and go knight f5. And yeah, I guess some questions for black, like after takes, knight f5, knight c5. What do you do exactly here? Because you don't really want to trade. Well, you'd like to trade, but you also don't want to, because then you lose the d6 square for your knight. If queen d7, you got to defend the b pawn, but queen d7, you get hit with knight e5. Queen c8 feels a bit passive. And this actually is a little bit unpleasant, I would say. So knight c5. Yeah, knight d6, white takes. So knight c5. So help me out here, folks. How does black equalize here? Or is it not equal? Maybe queen c8? Maybe queen c8 is an option, followed by knight d6. It's not necessary that black has to take on d3 here, but at some point black will have to take on d3 and try to get the knight to f5. Maybe there's a different move here. Like b5, for example, is often a thought. Maybe he's thinking about b5, knight c5, and let's say knight b6. I would not be sure about this. a4. No. Here there's takes and like knight a4. So this, I think white is not happy here. So knight b6, knight e5. Queen c8. And I don't know, very unclear actually. It's hard to say because like c pawn is weak, but at the same time, black is going to have the c4 square. Knight comes to d6. Like, black might be okay. Not easy to judge, though, at first glance. So b4, a6, knight a4. So takes and knight f5 is kind of like the first option. Maybe b5, but b5 I'm always skeptical about it. It's not clear to me when it works. Yeah, bishop e3 before. So like take b5 here. Yeah, we still have to deal with knight e5 tempo, but it would be very similar. We get something like this, and then we try to get knight c4, knight f5. Okay, other option is try to trade, dark square bishop somehow. Yeah, hard to do. You got to take, go knight f5, then bishop d6. So yeah, it takes time. But Yeah, I really think Caruana should be fine here. Like, I don't think he's made a single, like, questionable move. Like, all of his moves have been very reasonable. Ray also has played perfectly fine, so I don't think he should be worse or anything. But yeah, I think both sides have played logically. So for me, the position should still be close to equal. But still, you have to figure out exactly how to manage it. And I guess we will soon see and learn from the maestro. Dominguez won queen c8. Okay, so this one is about to like get wild because queen c8 and then Hans goes king h2. So first off on queen c8, he could have taken here. But then I wonder if he was afraid of queen takes h3 tempo. No, then bishop h4, right? Covers everything for white. Yeah, so okay, he would have taken back. And then you could go king h2 here, but I guess somehow he didn't want to do this right away. Bishop h4, f5. Maybe. So take here. Yeah, for me, this is a maybe. Like, I don't know what's happening here. This bishop on c5, though, really strong. Maybe this is a problem. So he just goes king h2 right away. But he's allowing bishop takes f2, which I assume he has something. Not sure what. What does he have on bishop takes f2? Take f6, gf6, rook g1, take, queen takes, king h7, queen g3, and then he's just attacking. So he's just sacking the exchange, takes rook g1. Okay, knight h7. Yeah, taking on f2 just looked way too scary. First off, this one, and then this one. Like, looks very rough for black. Because rook g1, queen h4 is coming. It looks like it might just be mate. Like, rook g8, we give check, rook g1. Maybe that's not... Anyway, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just dangerous. I don't know. But yeah, rook f1 as well. Bishop moves somewhere, and then knight h4. Absolutely. Maybe even stronger. Just knight comes to f5, and you know, it's not good. I would even take here. Just like, don't even give black the option of knight e7 in the future. And like, excuse me, rook f1, and yeah, knight h4, and yeah. Just feels like absolute mate. Rook f5. You just don't survive. Yeah, too many arrows in black's position. So knight h7, Lanier wants no part of that. Hits the bishop. And now... Okay, I guess we'll see either bishop h4, bishop e3 most likely. And it's an interesting position. White has open g-file, which definitely gives him some attacking chances, as well as this knight h4, knight f5 plan, which is always around. But black is structurally doing very well and also has his own kind of active plans. Like, Lanier, I think, really wants to bring this knight to g6. Yeah, like if bishop e3, I think black trades. And let's say white takes with something, knight e7, and then knight g6. Oh, rook g1, only move that gives advantage for... Okay, actually, now let's... So here, let's cool it on the engine analysis from... Because, like, in the opening, it's interesting just to kind of get an understanding of what the players might know or not know. But once we're out of the opening, I would like to keep this an engine free space, just because it's kind of more fun to see the games without any assistance, like the players what I think it's just kind of cooler to sweat. But okay, now we know Rook G1. Rook G1 is a powerful move. It makes sense. If knight takes G5, you can either take with the knight or with the rook. But taking with the knight might be cool to bring the queen in to H5 next. Only issue for white is like this bishop is very difficult to... Like, it's hard to get this bishop into the attack because the d pawn went to c4. Okay, but Han's spending a lot of time. Yeah, move 17, 44 minutes. So now making it super easy on himself. Rook G1 definitely, not the easiest move to find. Okay, let's see what else we got. Yeah, if Rook G1, if bishop takes f2, Rook G2. No, the point is that white is getting a lot of time for the attack, because now like you have to move the bishop back, and then white has, of course, like bishop h6 ideas, but yeah, also just gets time. So let's say like just takes, and then knight h4, for example, and then queen h5, and knight f5, and so it's very, very dangerous for black. Like you might just be getting mated in a couple moves. It's hard to do in a chess game to like sense how quickly you're gonna get mated. People often refer to this as like a sense of danger, like understanding like when you're in trouble before it actually. Because sometimes you realize you're in trouble and it's too late. You're already getting mated in a couple of moves. So realizing before it happens though is different skill. But in general, these guys are very good at avoiding risk. Like they hate grabbing pawns when it's like they lose a lot of time and they give the opponent big chance for the attack. Rook G1 F5. Maybe. It is kind of opening yourself up a little bit to mate. So for example, like as a fantasy variation, Queen D5 check, and then if you go King H8, there's like Knight H4, and like this is a problem. You got to be careful. And he does rooting for Lenny. I respect it. Rook G1 F5. Jake's giving the line take. Knight E5. Not sure if this one's working. Because yeah, unfortunately we but you could. No, I guess you can't. Yeah, there's not a lot of time to reverse the move order. You could give check and then snag this pawn, and then you'd try to go for this later. But yeah, no, it's not what you wanted. Okay. Oh, Robson Fabi. So Fabi does go b5, knight c5. Okay, so now we're gonna learn that this was a b5 position where apparently b5 is playable. But Fabi, got in trouble round 1 against Hans yesterday. He blew the win against Levon. A little bit shaky, I think. So he might not be feeling super, super confident today. It's a chance for Robson if he gets some play. Of course, Robson lost yesterday, so he's probably not feeling great himself. So yeah, we'll see what happens here. Would I please recommend a book or course for d4 opening? Also something which gives ideas about middle games of d4. D4 opening book that like covers middle games as well. There's some good like structure books, like pawn structure books, like Winning Pawn Structures is a good one, where it tells you how to play like different d4 types of positions. It's not really like a d4 like opening book, like here's what to play. Not totally sure if I can provide a good d4 opening book just off the top of my head. But yeah, I can see why you'd be looking for that. I would suggest maybe studying some good d4 players of the past and trying to learn from their games. People like Karpov, Kramnik, those kinds of players, d4 players, learning from their game collections. I think maybe you can learn a lot about d4 strategy in middle games from that. Of course, there's lots of books as well you can read where you learn from the annotated games. What about e4? E4 also worth learning and studying the games of strong e4 players. Okay, knight b6 from Fabiano. Now with knight e5, what he wants exactly, I guess queen c8. Queen c8 maybe. Are there books which collects their games? I'm not sure. I'm sure there are some. Sorry, hard to think just off the top of my head, but yeah, many good middle game books out there. Of course, if you go to our site, we have lots of recommendations there. I definitely stand by those. But yeah, I think that, yeah, lots of good books and collections of the greats. Oh, Hans went rook g1. Hans. He's working today, huh? He's finding moves today. Rook to g1. Nice. I guess it is logical. Once you realize that like you can just leave this bishop on g5 because you've got knight takes g5 and then queen h5 coming next, then it becomes very playable to do this. Of course, how does this work exactly? If f6, then maybe queen d5 check. And then this check even. It looks very, very scary for black. Knight e6 might be good. Yeah, maybe there's something better too. Queen h5 I don't see working. It's also possible to take like this and try to double on the g file, and then triple stack, and then black is going to have a very hard time defending the king. To me, white's attacking chances look very nice here. So I think we're going to see knight takes g5. Knight f7 looked good there. Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't quite see the kill after king h7, but like rook g7 take, or g1 king h7, and then didn't see the follow-up. Oh, script, no, you're a member. Great. Struggling in the opening? That's okay. What can we help you with? What cohort are you in? Maybe we can offer some suggestions. I mean, we're doing commentary, but, you know, I mean, it's like we're here for multiple hours every day. So if you guys are in the program, you want to ask questions about stuff, it's totally fine, of course. Okay, so other than knight g5, so yeah, I don't think that's a move black wants to play. Unpleasant position for black. I think you want to just kind of start trying to bring in your pieces, but it's not so easy. Like knight d8 allows bishop e7 tactics, and you lose the exchange. 1900 cohort. So yeah, at this point, yeah, openings start to become much more important. 1900, 2000. Gotcha. Yeah, so I mean, my suggestion for building your opening repertoire, I've done some videos on this, so you can certainly refer to those, but I would say like it's really useful to pick one or two players that you really like and look up to, and then try to model your openings after them. Try to do what they do. So for example, maybe you're like really positional player and you like positional squeezers and grinders and those types of players, so you might pick one and then model your openings after them. Like Kramnik used to be like very good d4 player, so he was one you could kind of follow. Carlsen was playing d4 for some time. Like you look at his d4 games. Levon Aronian for many years was a great d4 player. So you could look at his openings. Now, of course, he plays both, but that's one where, yeah, you could really look at his games and build a repertoire from that. Yeah, I play d4. I play some. I've dabbled. I've dabbled in a bit of d4. You could look at you could look at my openings as well. Absolutely. Okay, Lanier going to think. Yeah, I've been working on a course for many years. Okay, on and off, but yeah, I've been working on a course for e4 players that shows like typical plans and ideas in e4 positions, and then eventually I wanted to do one for d4 as well, because I don't think there really exists like a course or a book that really lays it out so nicely. There are some good books out there that like show ideas, but there's not one that's like, yeah, here's a bunch of thematic ideas for e4 positions, here's a bunch for d4 positions, model games. So some course ideas for me to think about. Yeah, in terms of specific courses, I don't have any huge recommendations there. I'm sure Andres has some good stuff though. Yeah. No worries, not at all. We have plenty of time here. Okay, Lanier, he's gonna think how to defend. Maybe f6, rook f7. So I agree, bishop h6 is a big threat here. So maybe this one, followed by rook f7. Here. For example, very scary though, very scary. Because if this, for example, then there's takes, and then rook g1. I think white's pretty much winning, looks like. You're here, knight f5, yeah, kaput. Where will my course be played? No, you're getting ahead of yourself there. The course, I mean, I was working on Chessable, but now it might go into the Dojo. I mean, it's very far from being ready, but I think I would probably put it up for Dojoers and then on Chessable as well if I were to do another course right now. But it's very, very far from that even being in discussion. It's just something I was working on. I've got some material, I annotated some games, I got a bunch of exercises, but it's such a monumental work. There's just a lot of e4 structures out there. You got your Rui Lopez, Sicilian, so many different Sicilians, Italian game, Caro-Kann, French, Scandinavian, perk structures, a lot of stuff. But okay, little by little, it's my passion project. Let's put it that way. It's my passion project. I want to teach people and myself as well how to all the typical ideas of 1e4 and then maybe 1d4 as well. I think that's kind of the future, like having you buy a course where you learn a lot of like the thematic ideas, not the theory, but the thematic plans and ideas, the typical structures, maneuvers, model games, that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. There's not like an E4 model games, right? Am I missing something? Is there any course that's like, here's a course with a bunch of model games for 1E4, how to play different structures? Is there anything like that? I feel like there's books on how to play different pawn structures, but they're usually not related to the opening. It's usually like, here's a bunch of different structures. And there's obviously like opening repertoires, but those don't really have a lot of model games. So mine would be more of like a strategy kind of course, not like a opening course. course. It would be like a how to play 1e4 and not like what moves exactly to play in the theory. All right, Queen e6 from Lanier. Yeah, that was a move we were thinking about, just bringing the queen over and just rook g2 Hans. Hans speeding up a bit. Looks like he wants to double on the g file with something. Maybe queen d2, rook g1 coming. Yeah, he's going to be attacking. This one should be pretty sharp. And whoa, big moves here. Knight e5 from Robson, queen c8 from Fabi, and now e4. E4 is a big move. Big move. Mendes has model games for 1d4. Okay, cool. Mendes, which book would that be? I'm not sure I'm familiar. Hello, Fury. Yeah, Chessable's got like e4 tactics, that kind of thing. That's also useful. I think like themed tactics based on the opening. That's something I want to be in. Now I'm like motivated. Now I'm like, I got to do this core. People need to know how to play like e4 and like learn, because we were always asking like, what are the plans and ideas of this position? And you need a course for that. You need a course. You need to look at a lot of model games, see a lot of ideas, typical breaks, typical plans, typical motifs, do some exercises, and then you learn a thing or two. Maybe Andres has the good course like that. From the opening to the end game? Gotcha. Strategic chess. Okay. This is a huge move from Robson. E4 is a move that is often reserved for situations like this in the QGD where black has pushed the B pawn and thus weaken the C pawn. And so it makes e4 a lot more desirable for white to one day try to get at this guy. And it makes a lot of sense. So Fabi could be under some heavy pressure here. If takes, I'm thinking either one. Maybe knight takes e4 followed by rook c1, and black has issues here. This is not easy at all. Bishop e6, maybe he goes back like this, rook c1. White threatens to take and take. Let's say knight c4. Just trying to understand how bad is this. Take. And this, I think, would be maybe reasonable for black. I'm not sure. Knight b2 ideas, knight d2. But I would think white is better with just light squared bishop and nothing else. But maybe there's something better after bishop e6. I'm not sure. But at least it feels like black is not dead, even if they have to resort to this and knight c4. At least as far as I can tell. Maybe he's got something better. I'm sure he wants to play, like de4 is a move you want to play. But yeah, you might be experiencing some major grief after takes, knight takes, and then rook c1. So I don't know, Fabi, lots to think about here. Clovad, thanks for following. Oh, he did take on e4. Yeah, looks very risky. Looks very risky. Thanks, Hosta. Thank you. Yeah. Jack, our main developer, he's fantastic. He has a couple of people helping him now. We got Jalp and Autumn on the team as well. But yeah, he's crushed it with the site. Totally agree. And yeah, we're very exciting, especially this new heat map thing. Heat map, super fun. There's going to be heat map 2.0. Is it open source? I believe it is. So if you're interested, if you got skills, there's features you would like to help us with. We're often looking for helpers, so reach out. You can send Jack a message directly on Discord. He's usually pretty responsive. And then you can let him know, because I don't really know the technical stuff, but you can really let him know what your strengths are, what you can help with, and then hopefully he can direct you. What will be the update with the heat map 2.0? Great question, Jake. Thank you for asking. So right now the heat map just shows you how many hours you've done on a daily basis, like every single day, and it colors it. So a couple updates we want to do with 2.0. Number one, we want to be able to sort it so that you're looking at your daily heat map or your weekly heat map. So maybe you don't really care about tracking it on a daily basis. You just want to make sure you're getting enough hours in every week. So then you'll be able to see your heat map in terms of weekly targets and see if you're hitting a number of hours per week that you want to do. So that's one thing. So having like a daily view, a weekly view, maybe even a monthly view to see like, okay, did you hit your monthly targets? Like you wanted to work 40 hours a month on your chess. So maybe you didn't hit it on Monday or Tuesday, like in terms of like the 2 hours per day you wanted to do, but are you hitting the monthly target? So you can still see if over time you're still making it. The other thing we want to do is allow the user to set their own targets. So right now it's like if you work something like 3-4 hours, then you get a full lit up box on your heat map. If you work less, then it's less highlighted. But what I like to do, and I think what we like to do, is set it up so that you, the user, define what is your set goal for the day, week, month in terms of the hours. And then if you hit your goal, then you get the fully colored box. Because maybe you don't have a lot of time. Maybe for you it's like, okay, if I could just do 45 minutes a day, I'd be happy. So then you set it at 45 minutes, and then every day that you train 45 minutes, you get the full box rather than having to do like 2-3 hours. So to me, that would be a big update if we can allow the user to set their own training targets, because then you can see like whether you've hit your own goals, and that hopefully will motivate you. Then you can up your goals and end up doing more. One thing Jesse wants incorporated, which I'm not sure about, but we might end up doing, I just have to kind of see how it looks, is to organize the colors so that they match the buckets that you're doing. Because we have a different color for each bucket, like openings, middle games, end games, tactics, games, and analysis. So he wants the heat map to display a color that corresponds to the work you did on that day. So if you did all end games, it would be like a red box. If you did all games, it'd be like a yellow box. Tactics, it'd be a green box, and so on. If it'd be a mix of stuff, maybe you get a multicolored box. I don't know if that's going to work. I have to kind of see it and then decide, judge for myself. But yeah, that's Jesse's idea. Maybe that's something that sounds interesting to you guys. Maybe you have feedback on that. You can let me know. But yeah, that's the plan. Might work better for the weekly goal than daily. Yeah, I think so. Because daily goal, I mean, it's not a lot of room in that box for colors, I would say. You just want Jesse to run Twitter. Yeah, that could be a thing. So for the weekly heat map, it's more of like a box. Yeah, that makes sense. Or more of like a bar. That makes sense. Okay, so e4, d takes e4, bishop takes e4 on the board. Now c6 is hit, and then after bishop takes e4, knight e4, rook c1 is going to come, and yeah, black is going to have to figure out concretely how to defend this pawn on c6. Hey, Chess Under Fire, hello. Missed the Dojo Talks, no worries. But you won the Liga, nice. I'm sad I don't get to play those more often. I'm often just very busy, but good job holding up the team. Yes, Jake, thank you. I think heat map is great, and yeah, I really feel like a big part of the job with chess improvement is just like facilitating the actual improvement. I really feel like that's become a big role of the dojo, is not to just explain what to do when it comes to chess improvement, but to like facilitate it and like help you achieve it. And a big part of that achieving it is like the motivation and accountability. So things like the heat map. I eventually want to add like streaks, like you can see your streaks, you can see how many days you worked, or how many weeks you hit your monthly or weekly target, monthly target, and so on. Yeah, I think custom plans, rewards, badges, all that stuff. I feel like it's just like just pushing people to do the work, helping people do the work, incentivizing people to do the chess training and take it seriously. That's our job, to guide and incentivize people to improve their chess. To provide, we've been working on a mission statement, to provide the structure and community for people to improve their chess. Yeah, heat map, very motivating. Yeah, totally agree. Gamification of training, absolutely. Oh, you've been doing too much Puzzle Rush. I would say for Puzzle Rush, between 5 to 10 runs is good. Like no more than 15. Beyond that, I think you're just kind of you're farming a bit too much, I would say. A bit too much farming. A cool thing you can do for Puzzle Rush is to track your runs. So get like a Google Sheet, and every run you do, just track it. How many you got, how many strikes, how much time you ended with, and just like track your stats. And then you can do like fun like stat stuff, and then that'll slow you down. It'll cause you to take it more seriously. And then you can also start to see like, okay, I do better. You know, when I train this time in the morning, I do worse when I do like 40 runs in a row. So I would say just like track it. Start tracking it. Just get an Excel sheet, see like your average of your last 10 runs, last 50 runs. That's the other thing. If you start seeing your average Puzzle Rush over time, then you'll see your average doesn't go up that much. So you start to care less about your individual runs. You'll start to care more about your average, and then maybe you won't rush as much, start like blundering. That's what people do. They like rush, and they're like, okay, I just want to get to the 30, the 40, you know, and they just start like moving really fast. And then you're not really helping yourself at that point. You're just like playing puzzle bullet. So yeah, like have a system. Say like I'm gonna do 5 runs a day. Maybe like here's what I would do: like 3 warm-up runs that you just don't count, or you can track them if you want. Like just be like, okay, 3 warm-up runs, 1 or 2 warm-ups, and then have 5 that like, okay, these are my 5 that I'm tracking. This is my score for the day. Do them. Do your best. Focus. No distractions. Do the puzzle run. Mark down your results. Track your scores, and then over time, you know, see if you can get your score up. Yeah, we were thinking about adding like a mentoring system. It's kind of hard to organize from a technological perspective, script nerd. But yeah, for the moment, I think people are kind of relying on Discord to kind of find training partners and people to review their games and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. Hope that helps. Getting game reviews from people in higher cohorts would be nice. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing right now. That's That's a big part of the dojo. Yeah, we've got that in spades. If you join the training program, you join the Discord, upload your games. People are very generous about giving you their thoughts. If you put in the time to annotate your games, it's one of the biggest draws of the dojo. High-rated players will look at your game and give you feedback on it. Is there a way to request it through the site? So right now, most of the communication is done via Discord. The Sensei review, of course, that's a paid feature, but getting feedback from other people in the program, that's kind of like included. That's part of the community. It's mostly done on Discord, but we have been talking about a way to do it through the site. Specifically, the idea that was recently pitched that I think we're going to go for is to have like a queue where you can see all of the recently annotated games that people are done with and are requesting review on. And then you would see like, okay, this game, whether it's had comments, how many people have commented on it. And then that would be a place for everyone to go and see like which games that are in a lower cohort you can go and comment at. Then you would be able to publish your own games for higher rated players to look at as well. And that would be kind of like the dojo system of doing it. Yeah, the comments are in the game editor themselves, but right now we don't have a great way on the site to show like, okay, this is a game I'm asking for people to review. That's pretty much done in Discord. But yeah, I think what we're working on eventually is a page where you would go and then you would just see like the latest games and like, okay, these are the games that still need review, that are being like requested. And yeah, exactly. And then people would go. And then that kind of plays into is like a whole thing, but it's like, big dreams, dojo dreams. Let's talk about it. That plays into like the dojo economy that we want to implement, where people get rewarded for being very generous of their time. Because there's members out there, we all know who they are, in the community that really spend a lot of time reviewing games and offering advice. And so it'd be nice to kind of have some kind of dojo gold economy where they get reviewed for, helping the community and giving feedback and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Like a dojo community score or something like that, and then in return, if you have like a high community score, for example, or, a lot of dojo gold, then when you submit a game for review, that game would show up higher, and then your game would be more likely to be reviewed faster. Anyway, so just, big brainstorm there. You guys think about that. I just threw it out there. Fabi, F6, he plays this move before White has a chance to go rook c1 and pile up on this pawn. He is allowing queen b3 check, but looks like he has knight d5 or maybe 96 in response. And yeah, it's an ugly move to play, but his position, maybe is under a bit of pressure, and at least here he solves the problem of c6. So if knight comes back, then maybe he can put this knight here, and maybe black is okay here. One day pushes f5, and who knows, it might be all right. Dominguez's position, there was a question, is it tough to defend? It looked a little tricky, but queen e6, let's see what happened. Rook g2, 97. Yeah, okay, he got his knight e7 and knight is coming to g6. I would think black's position here feels okay. I don't see how white activates this bishop. Hans needs to find some kind of b4. And then bishop b3. But yeah, it won't be so easy, I think. Give feedback on how good the review is. That's interesting. Yeah, because one thing we have to be worried about is if we introduce any kind of economy or incentive for the reviewers, is people are just gonna, clown the review just to collect the gold. They're gonna be like, great game, I loved all your moves, and then give me my 5 gold. I reviewed this game. Like, oh, look for tactics next time. 5 gold, So yeah, we have to avoid people trying to just kind of game the system. So yeah, maybe there could be once someone reviews your game, then the original reader gets asked, how good was how useful was their review, or how useful were their notes, and then some of the best reviewers would have higher ratings. Yeah, something to think about for sure. But that makes sense to me. Is we would need some kind of back and forth, some kind of checks and balances. Queen d2, rook ag1, and then bishop D1 maybe. Yeah, absolutely. That actually looks like a nice way to redeploy the bishop. I like that. Yeah, Dosidos, that would be kind of the idea, actually. Let's say we had some Dojo Gold economy where you have a certain number of gold. You know, I was thinking maybe you get gold for completing training tasks, right? So everyone in the training program gets a certain amount of gold just for completing tasks or like doing other stuff. And then you can give that gold to others. Let's say someone, you put up a game, someone reviews it, gives you some nice notes, you would like to reward them, then you could, send them, 50, 100 pieces of gold or something. And then that would be their incentive to do that for you. So something, we got to figure it out. So where like the incentives line up and people don't try to game the system. And the point is to just like support people on their chess improvement journey. Take advantage of tech and principles of gamification to help people get better at chess. I mean, that's what we're here. That's what we're here to do. Try and get better at chess. Try and become better chess players. Actually, I'm going to write this suggestion. The bucket colors apply for the weekly heat map. Have we had any dojors become masters? I'm not sure if there's anyone specifically like in the program that's crossed 2200, but we have had students like from the past that hit 2200. Like I think Chess Gains is one. He was like in the dojo, he's on Ultimate Sensei and stuff. I think there are others as well. So maybe one or two, but not many. Most of our students have been in, I would say, sub 2,000 groups going on, because it's hard to get to 2200. That is a tough jump. But collectively, I'm very happy to say that we're responsible for nearly 160,000 rating points gained throughout the dojo. 160,000. Let's check out Shanklin's game. Yeah, Hans could be in time trouble soon. Take, bishop g5, h6, cd4, knight d4, queen c7, f3. So Shanklin going after it with Wesley So here. Folks, I'm going to take a quick break. I've been on for about 2 hours so far. So let me take a break, stretch my legs, refill my stuff. I'll come back and we'll keep watching US Championships, keep talking chess improvement. Hopefully you're enjoying your Sunday. I'll see you all shortly. Enjoy the chair. Keep an eye on Pikachu for me. Make sure no lightning is no lightning free apartment. Okay, so just make sure Pikachu's not casting any moves. Okay, see you guys soon. Alrighty, folks. We are back. Sorry, I was just grabbing a snack. It's been a long stream. We did Dojo Talks, and then that one right into US Champs. Thank you, Jake. Yeah, it's all good. I had a whole sandwich actually. I had a whole sandwich. It was good. It was good. Thank you for following. Real MAF. Messi the Messiah. Oh, Hosta, you're 2175. Yeah, we'll make you a master. Done. Let me know if I can help. Mayo or mustard? I do both. I do both. Okay. Wait, this game has kind of transformed. Bishop c2. Queen d2. f4, queen c5, and now e6. Wow. What do we think of this? Yeah, it looks reasonable. Apologies, I've been very sniffly, but it looks reasonable because white is better in this endgame. At least a small advantage. It's hard because like against Wesley So, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't expect to win it, but if I was playing like a 2100 player here, then I'd be thinking like, oh yeah, white has good chances. So maybe that's how I'll give you guys a more objective approach. I'm like, all right, if I was playing like 2400 player, someone around my level, then I would think like, oh yeah, white has nice winning chances. But would I think I'm beating Wesley So from here? No. Basically, no. I think white's better, but not enough to beat Wesley. Do I take on c5 or let them take? I mean, I don't know. It's possible you can just take here as well. I don't see a huge problem with taking because I don't think black's rook is that amazing on c5. And I think for me, it's more important to just get the queens off. But maybe rook e6 is fine as well. But interesting play from Shankland. I like this e6 push. Yeah, I definitely think it's a good idea. Naka, no, not playing. Any updates with Han's game? Yeah, so Hans, we had this, 97. He dropped back bishop d2. Definitely this one is sharp because they got 20 moves to go before the time control. And he has this open g file. Black is g6. He also has this b4 idea. So Han's playing very spirited. He wants like b4, c5, and then bring bishop to b3. And then queen g1 as well. And just, yeah, putting massive pressure on Black's position. So very sharp here. This could be a chance for Hans. Fabi position looks good. Oh, let's take a look. Fabi. He's got rook takes f3 in the air. Whoa. That's a really healthy looking exchange sacrifice. When you get to ruin White's king side and grab a pawn, like that's often really nice. What was the last move here? Queen c2, rook a3, and then he went rook c1. So Ray's just allowing it. I think somehow Fabi got out. Like takes, f6, a5. In this position, all of a sudden, I think completely healthy for Black. Take, knight d5, knight c5, rook e8, queen c2, rook a3 gets active, and now he's got the option to take. He doesn't have to. Knight on f3 is not really going anywhere. Like, I think Black has a lot of healthy moves. So he really turned this position around. Yeah, a5 definitely very nice. So I thought this is still nice for White because he got Black to play f6, but a5 and looks like White wasn't really in time to create the counterplay. Interesting. Maybe should have taken with the knight. I'm not sure. Then again, maybe f6 is a problem. Yeah, I don't know. So there'll be something to check for the engines later. So take. Now Fabi's position is starting to look really nice. I agree. Queen f5, knight f5. This White just has a lot of weaknesses. So it's very hard for White to move the knight without dropping the b pawn. There was knight d3 last move, which I don't really understand why. I guess rook c3 maybe. And rook c4, something like this, and Black has a lot of pressure. I'm not sure. Maybe this is still okay for White. Rook c1. Hard to say. But yeah, my thought would have been knight d3, but Ray goes rook c1, clearly inviting the exchange sacrifice. So it'll be interesting. You know, he's 2,700 basically. You know, 2,700 invites you to sack the exchange. Do you do it? Do you do it? Huh? Do you do it? 2,700 is like, yeah, go ahead, sack the exchange. Go ahead. And it's like, I don't know, a lot of times you don't do it, but maybe if you're Fabiano Caruana, maybe you do sack the exchange. Maybe you're like, yeah, I will sack the exchange. Thank you for the offer. I will accept. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see if he takes. I hope he does take. It'll be cool to be interesting to see. Okay. Then let's see. I just want to take a quick peek here. Mishra Sevian. How do we get the structure? Knight g4. Take. Here, queen c5 gets the pawn back. White has dark squared bishop, but Black has a nice blockade. Black can play f6 and knight e5 at some point. I actually would have thought about playing f6 here. I'm not sure why he didn't. Because this just looks like a very nice square for Black's knight, like bishop f7, knight e5 or something. E5, knight e5. I don't see why this would be so amazing for White. Seems like Black should be defending. So yeah, I'm not sure. But rook e7. I guess he's not afraid of e5. So he doesn't see a need to play f6. Interesting. Okay, we'll see if Mishra can do something here against Sam, but that one looks pretty even. Oh, and Fabi played Queen F5. So he doesn't sack. I mean, I don't know if that was necessarily good. It was hard to judge. I was hoping he would just tell us. The video's here, but okay, still, like, White's position takes, and then everything is very, very vulnerable and tender. So unpleasant position for Ray. I mean, I think at this point, White definitely needs to figure out how to just make a draw or something, but that doesn't seem easy. I think he might just be worse here, which means Fabi might be again possibly starting a streak. Shankland. So looks like they're playing chicken. Rook takes e6 and Rook f8. Neither side wanting to trade queens. Both players too cool for that. At this point. I feel like you gotta. This one, enough's enough. You gotta just take his white. But what do you do about this f pawn? F pawn is kind of an issue. I don't know. I would be very tempted by takes and rook e7. Rook takes f4, rook takes b7, and then looking to go rook e2, rook e7. Maybe that's optimistic. And black can defend. But in general, rook and bishop is going to be better than rook and knight. So all these endgames officially should be better for white. And it's just a question of if he has enough to squeeze out a win. My feeling is just a small advantage for white, but in practice, it might be difficult. Like, it might be easy for black to make a mistake and fall into a losing position. So maybe some chances for Sam. Like Sam actually, yesterday he had a total heartbreak. We saw it right in front of our eyes. Like we were like, oh, Sam's winning, and we relaxed. He relaxed. We were celebrating. I mean, the champagne was out. People were cheersing in the chat. He's gonna beat Dominguez with black. Nice Najdorf, thematic model game, fantastic. And then he just kind of blundered this one trick, and that grandmasters hate. And then Lanier escaped with a draw. So that's always unfortunate. But like what I would say to a student or someone that happens to, it's like, okay, the takeaway is that you still almost won against an incredibly strong player, and it's a bummer that you bungled it at the very last moment. You have to keep your focus up, but at the same time, the fact that you got this chance means you'll probably get more chances against these guys in the future. So that's good. It's not like you just got lucky, to win and then that's that. It's not going to be repeated here. Like you managed to outplay the guy, and so you will be able to do it again. Yeah, that was pretty good, right? He just blundered this one trick that grandmasters hate. And okay, king h2. So now he's really forcing Wesley to submit and trade queens on his terms. And Wesley's like, no, I'm not going to trade queens. Okay, you take my knight, I take your rook. Sam Shankland, 2018 U.S. chess champion. What do you think about that? And I guess we're going to see what Sam thinks about it. But, okay, he's hitting the rook. He's hitting f4. There's rook d4 in the position where I imagine Wesley has some move like queen c5 cooked up just to keep the rook under pressure. Yeah, rook d4 played. I don't really see another move for white. And then don't see a move for black other than... that's not true, actually. Rook c2 is a move I see. So if rook takes queen, white's rook is hanging, and then g2 is hanging with check. That seems at least okay for black. And then if queen takes c2, queen takes d4. F4 is hanging with check. G3, there's always knight F3. Yeah, I think Wesley's thinking about rook C2 right now. I think we're about to see rook C2 on the board. Because rook C2 is really annoying. Like you're hitting... Because if this is the kind of move where if the forcing moves work, like the captures, then you're usually just... There's no reason not to play it because you're activating your rook with tempo. You're hitting G2 with check. So it's hard to imagine white has some kind of quiet move that kills you. Queen E3, rook takes G2, for example. King H1. You have to calculate that, but you probably believe in the activity of your pieces there. Queen takes B2. So rook C2 looks like a monster move. Oh, it is on the board. Oh, Wesley. Ooh, Wesley. Wesley so very strong. Very strong move. I don't know what's happening now. I guess there's bishop E2, rook E2. Probably white is safe, but it's still, I mean, you gotta love the activity. Playing like Mickey Tall over here. So if rook e2, maybe black takes. Yeah, bishop takes, queen takes b2. He snags a pawn, rook takes d5. Material stays equal, but with stuff traded off, probably it's like, okay, earlier white was better. Now we're not really, I don't think we're really thinking about white being better anymore. I think we're mainly trying to see if black has, I mean, black might even have some concrete stuff. Probably white is still okay though. Here, this is a nice move actually. That maybe wins for white. Huh? That's a nice tactic. Man, we're firing up the tactics today. You guys seeing this? Takes, bishop check, and then queen takes queen. And then if queen takes e2, we just go queen takes. Okay, rook e2 played. Rook e2 played. Trades on e2. Has to take with the bishop to keep everything protected. That was a nice moment. You know, how did Wesley So and myself find this move? Mainly by asking the question, is queen c5 black's only move, or is there something else? And as soon as I asked, like, oh, is there another move? What else can it be? Because queen is under attack, knight is under attack. Either you bring your queen to a safe square, or what else? You got to find some countermeasure. Rook f4 doesn't seem to cut it, so rook c2. Rook c2. What a move. So Wesley, he kind of tricked Sam into this. Rook f8. King h2, and he's like, oh, queen b4. He like found his chance. Rook d4, rook c2, slammed it. That's, you know, and I was saying, I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong, I'm not looking at it with an engine or anything, but I was saying like just trade, just trade rook e7. That looks nice for white. Maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure, but that looked nice. Anyway, now it seems like black is the one in charge. Let me take a look at the other games. Hans Dominguez, you know, these games, like, yeah, they're going to heat up very quickly here as the players get into time trouble. Let's see what Hans is up to. So bishop d2, knight g6, queen e2, queen f6, rook g4, rook ag1, king h8. Okay, white's pieces are playing. He needs to include his bishop somehow, include all the pieces in the attack, but it's not so easy to see how to do so, you know? Like, how do you get this guy in? b4, now black is taking, and then our stuff is hanging. Okay, so bishop c2, maybe looking for b4, and then eventually c5, bishop b3. Though a lot of times this bishop does kind of just park itself here, and it supports a future knight h4, knight f5. So it's definitely not the worst piece in the world. And in the meantime, white has other moves. Like he can bring the queen to g1, he can play knight g5, he has h4, h5 as well. Actually, maybe rook g3, cover the knight, then queen f1, queen g2, then h4, h5. If white gets everything in like that, I mean, black is in big trouble. So Hans maybe has some chances here. By the way, Wesley went back queen b6. He doesn't go queen takes b2. He goes queen b6, pinning the rook and looking for some knight f5 stuff. And now Sam has to be very careful here because, like, knight f5 is a huge threat. And if bishop g4, what's so special about black's situation? Maybe knight f5 anyway, takes, rook takes, and black is fine. I mean, given the situation earlier, I think black should be happy with a draw. I'm not sure if he's looking for more here. But bishop g4 should be okay for white. We'll see if Sam comes up with something else. Okay, Fabi played queen f5 and Ray still thinking. Yeah, Sam way ahead on the clock. I don't know if he's necessarily rushing, but in general, he's pretty good about not going into time trouble. I would say actually his time management is quite good. Because yeah, like many players, I think he's prone to blundering in time pressure, so he tries to avoid it, which I think is a good strategy. That's what I would often suggest as well. Oh, if bishop g4, maybe knight g6, Guillaume is saying, and then g3, knight e5. Yeah, annoying. Rook d2. Then I don't know, does black really have anything better than just trading and trading? Because that I would think this is about equal. Yeah. But maybe he has something else he can do. King g1 is also possible just to defend the queen and free the rook. And then black can take on b2, but then why didn't he take on b2 last move? It doesn't seem like, doesn't seem like such an obvious thing for black. Okay, I'm looking for some action. A lot of these games are like very close to just completely explode. Like this game with Levon and a wonder. Like it's about to open up. Rook c8. Black is ready to take on d4. White's ready to start pushing like f4, f5. I mean, Levon wants to win. So at some point he's gonna start making moves on the king side. Okay, let me check in with the women. I haven't seen these games in a little while. And okay, a lot going on. Let's see, Carissa explains it all. We had 95 bishop g5, black took, queen c7, rook e1, f6, queenside castling. Usually queenside castling is not safe for black in the Sicilian, and this doesn't seem like a huge exception. So queen b4, b5, oof, b5. Okay, definitely looks nice for white at first glance, just because black's queen side is so loose, but this is hanging still a sharp position. Carissa though so good though in these sharp positions, like very tactical, fast and loose with the material, like it doesn't care about like happy to sacrifice, just plays for the initiative, super strong. I can see this going very bad for black very quickly. You could also just play a move like g3. I don't see what's so terrible about that, but white might have something much stronger. Like there's rook takes e7, knight e6 ideas, knight c6, a4 is a move. b3 you could think about as well, just to hit the knight. a4 is a very dramatic move because it really tries to just win the game on the spot. What's happening here? a4, a5, queen c3, and then the knight is still in big trouble on c4. Queen b3 also, or not queen b3 because knight d2. So a4, a5, queen c3, knight b6, queen takes a5, I think is GG, or even you can take and take on b5. The endgame is also extremely unpleasant for black. So what's black doing on a4, guys? a4, knight b6, a takes b5, knight takes d5, queen b3, knight takes f4, b6. Oh, a4, a5, knight takes b5. ab4, knight c7. Yeah. So a4, maybe knight b6 black plays. And ab5, knight takes d5. Maybe that's her idea. So a4, knight b6. How's that going to work? A takes b5, knight takes d5. Queen b3. I don't really believe in it, right? Like here. We hit this, we threaten this, we hit this. Let's say black takes this one. The king is just way too open for this to be survivable, I would expect. Like this is probably strong, and then just like promoting the a-pawn. Like a lot of times you sack a piece for this. Here white hasn't even sacrificed material, so no, there's no way this is playable for black. b6 also looks very strong. And so on. So a4, I'm thinking, is the move for Carissa. Move 19. They got to make 21 more moves. So not a lot of time. a4, bishop takes f4. A takes b5, Jake. And then what? Knight d2 or something? We can look at this. I mean, desperate times. Bishop d2 is not going to work because take, and white gets two pieces for the rook. And Yeah, white's two minor pieces are just going to be too strong here, I think. So a4, a5, Troy, we were looking at knight takes b5, I think is working. Maybe this is actually something. Okay, wait, maybe this is something. That's unclear. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe here is not so good. But on a5, what about queen c3? Because I thought queen c3 is also a problem. Let's see, take. Either knight b5 or pawn takes. But b4, the knight's just hanging, right? I don't think black can do that, but maybe this one? Take, check, here, take, but this looks like a super nice endgame for white. You got c4, knight c6. Okay, we have moves. Krista went for takes, queen takes c4, and now queen a5. Also looks very dangerous for black. I mean, she's threatening this. If king b7, I think she wants maybe rook takes e7. Or actually, some knight c6 might be very strong there too, and like queen b6 stuff. Yeah, maybe just knight. Yeah, king b7, knight c6, I think she wants. Hitting the rook and threatening this, which is just devastating. So that'll be winning. Maybe this is really strong, even better. a4 looked... I didn't see the issue with a4, but this might be even stronger. And I guess if bc, then black structure is just very ugly. And she can take here, pile on, 96. So takes 96, and black can resign. Okay, Krista, I think, on her way to 3-0. Because king b7, knight c6. And then how else do you defend the a-pawn? I guess there's b4. But b4, b3 simply. And then queen takes a6. Krista getting her third title. I mean, yeah, she's just crushed. She crushed it at the Olympiad. She's crushing it here first few rounds. Looking a bit unstoppable. b4, b3. And this is falling. Knight c6 is coming. It was like +8 position or something. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I think black's just busted. Jennifer's a good defender, but Carissa's also a good attacker. Okay. Yeah, very nice solution, by the way. Just like take, and queen a5. Oh, queen takes d5 played. Oh, okay, I guess that's the only defense. Queen takes a6, queen b7. Yeah, good job, Unagi done. And then, okay, actually, game is continuing. Though it still looks incredibly dangerous for black. Like, you bring the queen back. Then e7 hangs. You can try to get the rook over. But okay, actually, Jennifer is surviving this. So, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Does Carissa have something? What does she have? I want to see other games. See what's happening here. Oh, Nazi Alice ended in a draw. Oh, interesting. So yeah, they had this Catalan. And then white had some compensation here. And yeah, looks like they repeated balanced game. Let's see how Tadev's doing. Tadev's position I liked from the opening earlier, but we hadn't checked it in a while. This was the French with like knight c6, knight d2, knight c6. This stuff. Well, I was a bit skeptical, but I did like her situation here after castles because I thought e5 is coming. Okay, played. Takes. Yeah, this position looked very comfortable for black, but okay, bishop g3, it's actually nothing special. Bishop d6, queen d4, a5, rook e1, e4, knight c5. Yeah, we end up getting this like Scotch Gambit type structure. So c5, queen h4, queen f5. Now queen g4. Okay, offering the endgame. Yeah, black's position looks comfortable here. After takes. Bishop d6, you have cd. Black's pieces look reasonably active. Rook can come to b5, put some pressure here. Probably balanced though, but yeah, again, all these games going into heavy time trouble. Okay, I want to see. Yeah, I want to keep an eye on this game. Carissa's still thinking after queen takes d5. Maybe she overlooked that takes, black is surviving here. Thank you for following, Alice Cassis. Please tell us what happened to the Chess Factor. So Chess Factor, I think I know what you're talking about. It's like this channel with content. I just did videos for them. I'm not really involved at all in their business. So they hired me to record some videos many years ago, like a long time ago. And so I did that. Videos are out there, good content. I've heard they're very instructive. I appreciate all the nice words people say. But yeah, I have no idea what they're I haven't kept in touch with them, so I have no idea what they're up to. Or if their site is still around or what. So takes, and then ends up going rook takes e7. So it doesn't take on a6. Takes here first. And I was thinking black would go bishop takes f4 here when white took on e7. Also, black has a chance to go queen b7. Queen b7 I like less. Queen b7, then I feel like white drops back. The rook starts swinging over. Or that seems passive. There's no g3 because rook will hang. If bishop takes f4, she wants maybe rook d1, rook e1. Maybe queen takes a6 there, b7. Hard to say, but yeah, position very sharp. Okay, a lot of games to keep an eye on. I apologize, guys. We won't be able to cover everything. Let's go back. Oh, we had draw with Opar and Christopher. Oh, yeah, that was a long time ago. Mishra, Sevian. Looks like pawn up. Was there c4 for white? Let me go back. Oh, c4 is a move. That's a very nice move. Was there c4 earlier? Like here? Wow, that's one of those invisible moves, huh? Where you just don't see it. You just don't see it until you see it. That's very nice. To me, this move was like impossible until you mentioned it. And then you mentioned it, I'm like, oh, c4 all of a sudden became visible. Invisible move, c4. Very strong, actually. I think it's very strong, because if queen b7 takes, you open up the c file, it looks nasty for black. Take, rook c1, king here. Normally this is mate when things are this open. I don't think this is a exception. I think this is the rule that proves. I don't think this is the exception that proves the rule. I think this is the rule that proves the rule. Knight c6 check. Take. Check. Here. And it's not so obvious. Maybe maybe black is all right. I don't know. Actually, bishop b6. Not so clear. Not so clear. But normally this would be like really bad. IMO. Maybe just knight moves somewhere, and it's like you got this, you got this. Rook c8 though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how good this is. Maybe queen b7. Black is still surviving. So I don't mind rook takes e7 because c4 is still on the card. So if bishop takes f4, then c4, still very much possible. Queen b7, and yeah, it feels like this is a nice position for white. Knight e6 actually might just win on the spot. Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good night. Okay, we'll keep our eye on that one as well. And okay, yeah, this was Mishra Sevian. Mishra with the extra pawn. And they were... Okay, they repeated once. No, not really. They didn't repeat. But yeah, he's offering a repetition. I think he'll go back rook e3, rook a4, and then he'll try to come up with some other move. But feels pretty drawish. Ray down to 5 minutes. Uh-oh. Traded queens, rook b3, rook a8. Fabi keeping up the pressure. Yeah, he's definitely, I think, trying to win this one. He might have some beautiful technique to do it too. Because the b pawn is weak. He's threatening to one-day trade and take... Why didn't he do this last move, actually? Rook b3. He could have taken and taken here. What are we missing? g4? Maybe he thought the pawn's not going anywhere? I'm not sure. Because rook a8, g4. This is on the board. Is this really better than just taking the pawn right away? He goes back. You can go knight d6. Take, take. If knight d6, take, take. What do we think about that? Black is still better, but why didn't he... Okay, someone help me understand. Why didn't he take the pawn? Okay, I gotta ask and find out for myself here. So, yeah, okay. No, this was fine. This was playable. Maybe d5 here, but rook a8 even stronger. So, fair enough. Fair enough. I wonder just dropped the bomb. Okay, let's go there. What happened with the wonder? So knight f4 takes here. Rook c4. Ooh. Rook c4. Nice. Love this kind of move. Beautiful chess. Levon is basically never taking this rook. He's like, all right, enjoy. I'm going to go rook g1. Looks kind of nice for black. Why didn't he take on d4? Doesn't really make sense. Is he playing for more with this kind of attack, or what's the... He goes rook g1, like, and then rook e6. Like, he can just take on d4 whenever, but I didn't really see why not take back. Okay. Interesting. Shanklin So getting to rook endgame. Ooh, okay, how'd they get here? I'm just curious. So, bishop g4 play, knight f5, takes, queen d2, and... Okay, they traded off. And here, Wesley just goes rook d5. Man, what a pro. Takes rook d2. What a pro. All of us would just be playing rook a7 here, like a couple of patzers, and then suffering. Because like white's king comes in, and then your rook can't move, and then you eventually lose the pawn, and then you lose the game. Wesley's like, just take the pawn. Take the pawn, I activate my rook, you can't win. That's how chess works. It's like b4, rook b2, and then, yeah, I don't think white has enough material to win this. Like, you can bring the pawn up all the way. You come here, black is just going to sit. Black is going to sit. And then it's just hard for white to abandon the king side without black getting enough counterplay here. So, should be a draw with just like the two pawns. If it was 3-on-3, I think that was more interesting. 2-on-2, I think, yeah, Wesley should hold it. Will be interesting to see how accurate he is there. Let's go to Hans, actually. Hans' game still should be heating up. Bishop c2, bishop b6, rook g2, bishop d8, c5. He c5'd him, takes, and now h4. So he just gave a pawn for this diagonal. Now h4 on the board, looking for h5. Looking very nice for white. So c4. Can't really take because queen takes f3, but... Oh, c4 is clever because then he can maybe get b5 in and keep white's bishop shut down. But, okay, h5, what's the plan on h5? Because h5 is coming, and then rook takes g7. Yeah, why not h4 directly? I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you just want to make sure you get the diagonal open. Maybe he thought, you know, he has to deal with h5, but Linier's like, no, I don't. You go ahead, h5, 97. Okay, yeah. So he's inviting rook g7. He's saying that his two rooks will be good enough for white's queen. I don't. I don't really understand at all. I mean, normally the queen is going to be very strong with other pieces on the board, like in the middle game position. Yeah, and Hans takes. Maybe Linier. I don't think maybe he doesn't want to take. Maybe he wants rook g8, just like trying to defend. But it looks very, very scary for black. I wouldn't know what's going on here. Queen takes I don't like because white trades, takes on e5, and black's king is opened up. There's queen g4 check, f4. So rook g8, I think he wants to play. And then knight g5 stuff. Take, knight g5, king h8. Rook g8, knight g8. I don't see the kill for white. But yeah, his position looks possibly quite promising. Bishop c7 here, maybe. And basically hoping white has no follow-up. Okay, rook g8 played. Yeah, so he doesn't give the queen, rook g8. Now expect we are just going to take. So I don't see the point of any other moves. And then rook takes. Oh, Fabi game. Hold on, some developments here. So rook b3, so rook a8, g4, takes on c5. Forcing rook a3, because the rook is hanging. Takes back. And now this guy's hanging. White took on c5, and now Fabi can take here. Or he can move his knight back like knight fe7. Knight fe7 might be smart because you defend c6 and you keep the attack on both the knight and the pawn on b4. But you can also take on f3, gf5, and then take on b4. But isn't this just easier? Because you defend this guy and yeah, or pawn up. If d5, maybe knight d5 takes. No, but that's two pawns. So take first, d5, take. Okay, healthy pawn up. Possibly just a winning endgame because black's pieces look to be in good position. Great winning chances for black. Oh, but there's rook takes here as well, maybe. No, then rook c5. Yeah, so looks like one pawn up. Okay, so Fabi thinking about it. Okay, does take on f3. That seems easier. Takes on f5. What else? And rook c3 from wow, rook c3. Hold on. Moment. So g4. Takes. And he goes rook takes f3, gf5, and now knight takes b4, but rook takes f3, gf5, rook c3. Forcing a rook trade, because takes, knight takes. And we have knight e2 check and knight d5 back. Okay, let's say take king f1. King f7, bishop d6, here. King d5. Yeah, wow, looks really bad, huh? Wow, so takes here. So I was thinking, let's say white takes, knight takes, we're threatening this. So takes, for example, king f1. I think his plan is to just win slowly. Like king f7, bring the king in, then king d5, and king comes to c4, knight d5, and we're just collecting, and white has no activity whatsoever. And then just good knight, bad bishop. If here, then just f5, and white has no counterplay, right? So this is an endgame lesson from Fabiano Caruano, so we're very grateful for that. Trade pieces into winning minor piece endgame. That's how you do it. Don't forget about the simplification. Fantastic. Looks like he's winning. It looks winning to me, honestly. It just looks like really, really bad for white. Okay, Hans. 6 minutes versus 9. H5. He takes on G7, Rook G8, and now he's thinking here what to do. Okay, 5 minutes, Hans. What are we thinking about here? You gotta... Rook is hanging. I don't understand. I mean, Rook G3, I just don't see what that changes. Black can trade on G3, right? Rook G4 as well. What could we be missing? I mean, he's just looking for his next move, or what's... Okay, he does go Rook G3. Okay, I guess he thought... Or maybe he wants takes, pawn takes. Maybe this is his clever idea. I mean, that would be the one reason to do this. And why not, actually? Why not? FG followed by G4, G5 would be very annoying for black. Like knight G8, G4, and then G5 is coming. And white has nice control over entire kingside. So fair play, fair play. But okay, black has other moves, doesn't have to take on G3, maybe bishop C7. Just connect rooks. Still sharp position. But okay, actually, the clever thing about Hans's approach is he defends the knight. So he's now threatening to win a pawn with queen takes c4. And if white wins this pawn and gets his bishop to nice diagonal in b3, white finally activates the unopposed light square bishop. This could be really bad for Linear Dominguez, 2741 FIDE. And it could be really good for Hans Niemann, 2733 FIDE. Okay, raise down to 24 seconds. And okay, I don't blame him. This is a problem. If you don't take on c3, then your b pawn is a big issue, and you can go bc5, but then black's b pawn is just going to be a super strong passer. So I think he has to take on c3, but it's not good. Okay, takes on g6, throws this in. hg looks pretty easy for black. I don't think there's a huge need to look at rook c5, gh7 check, kind of giving a pawn for no reason. But maybe that just wins as well. But if that wins, then hg should also win. Fabi hasn't responded immediately. Normally he just kind of takes back. He's like, yep, rook c3 still winning. But maybe he wants take, 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 knight takes b4. Bishop f4. Knight d3, bishop d2, b4, king f1, b3, king e2, b2, yeah. Too slow. I mean, rook c5 is probably winning as well, but I don't see why hg wouldn't also be winning. I guess it's nice to get this in. Maybe I go rook c5. I mean, the real critical line is that if bc, white keeps the extra pawn, but can't stop the b pawns. Actually, this is the whole point. And then if white has to go here, well, then we take. And I mean, it looks like it just wins directly. So I'm always kind of puzzled when I'm in this situation. I'm like, I'm pretty sure HG is winning, and then rook c5 also looks winning. And it's like, what do I do? You know, like which one do you pick? Like, let's say both look winning to you, because HG also looked pretty much okay. Here we're throwing takes a rook c5, king f1, and then black's king just walks in. Here there's this, and this one falls. I guess this you still have to convert. Maybe I go for rook c5. I'm going rook c5, folks. I think this is actually easier. I think this is very direct. This takes gh king h7, dc knight b4, king f1 knight d3. And then we get 2 pawns. Actually, is that? Now I'm second guessing myself. Now I don't know if that's easier. I can see why Fabi is thinking here. I'd probably just take. I just think like I knew this. I thought this was winning earlier. I still think it's winning. Let's just take. But take, knight b4, king f1, knight d3. Yeah, he just takes back. Yeah, he's just like, you know what? Let's not mess around. Let's just keep it simple, keep it straightforward. I think generally this is a good approach. Unless you're 100% sure about rook c5, just like take back, don't be fancy. And yeah, still looks very nice for black here. Okay, bishop d6 from Ray. But this doesn't really change much. I would expect Caruana either to trade or go king f7. Maybe king f7, because the rook isn't going anywhere. I like king f7. And the idea is to eventually walk the king to c4, and then, yeah, it'll be impossible for white to hold the queen side. Dritman, just subscribed, 42 months. Thank you, thank you. Okay, Han's game also interesting. Gonna keep an eye on that one. Rooting for Fabi. Yeah, this is Fabi's chance to get his first win. Yesterday, he was very close. He played a very nice game, but just blew it at the last moment. This game looks like he should manage. If he wins this one, I would say it's a very, very, very clean game. I mean, it's really not even clear where Robson went wrong. You know, it's just kind of happened accidentally. Shanklin indeed, yeah, I think is going to be drawing. Okay, against Wesley, so not a bad result. Thank you for following, Rui. Oh. Okay, I'm expecting Fabi to slowly grind this one down. They're move 34. They will hit the time control. Let's catch Hans here. This game is still very, very sharp. Blunderfest7, thank you for subscribing. 17 months. Much appreciated. Okay, so we had Rook G3, B5. Dominguez holding on to the pawn, but now Knight G5. Looking for Rook F3 idea, so Black traded. Bishop takes, Queen E6, and now Queen F3. Knight C8, Bishop F6, check. Oh, Hans is winning this. Hans is winning. But I think it was kind of, I think Lanier was already in big trouble because King H7, Bishop F6, and the white is just attacking crazily on the G file. But this looks winning. Bishop F6 takes, King H7, and now I feel like Queen G3 is gonna lead to mate here with ideas of either Rook G7 or Rook H8 check, followed by Bishop takes, Queen G8 check, King H6, Queen takes H8 mate. So Queen G3 I think is just resigns here. So Hans about to win his first game. Go Hans. Breaking the deadlock. Let's see, Queen G3, what could be the issue? Oh, Rook E8. Okay, this I'm sure is also good. Rook E8. So Queen G3, I don't get what the problem was. Maybe Knight B6 wasn't winning. I mean, wasn't game over on the spot. Takes. Check here. Check. No, I mean this looks good. I mean, I think this is resigns basically. Because takes, Queen takes F6. And Black's king is pretty wasted. Queen F8. And yeah, Dominguez resigns. So Hans wins the game. Very nice finish. If takes here. I mean, Black's position is really suspect, but what's the simplest way or fastest? Oh, Queen F5 first. Oh, very smart. Very good. Thank you. Yeah. So that was his plan. Rook E8 and then Queen F5. Very nice. And then that's mate. Yeah, very straightforward. Okay, our way was winning too. I think Queen G3 is also good. Threatening this. If Knight B6, then we have this one. And this one. And this one we saw ahead of time. Takes is mate on the board and then takes here. But yeah, very nice game from Hans. Very nice attacking game. This like G4, G5, and then he was provoked by Lanier with Knight H5, but then he goes for it and brings the rooks to the G file. Eventually opens it up with H4, H5, and yeah, gotta hand it to him. Very nice attacking game from Hans. Let's see, Fabi, Bishop D6, Rook C4. Okay, so not really threatening to take because white takes here. But okay, he keeps his rook safe. King G2, King F7, King F3, King E6, Bishop F8. And he can't take here because of Rook C4. Still looks good for Black, but somehow I feel like maybe he had something better. Guess we'll see. Women's Championship. Just wanted to check what happened here. It looks like Begum defeated Megan Lee. Arena on a draw. Tusa against Tatev. Looks a bit unpleasant for white. So Tatev, maybe some chances there. Big chances, actually, from what I can tell. And then Carissa seems to be hunting down Jennifer's king. Yeah, no way black survives this. We got check. This falls. So this looks good. I just want to see what happened here, because we were looking at this game, and we had takes here. Queen check. Rook takes d7. Nice. Queen takes knight c6. If rook takes, then there's still knight c6, and then this guy is hanging. So takes check. Wins back the exchange. Queen comes back to a5. And now black can't hold everything, because king b7, queen b6. So queen side starts to collapse. Brings the rook in. Carissa, very strong attacking player. Bishop b6, takes on b5. Opens up the king and now starts hunting the king down. Oh, actually, she just grabs this and... Okay, Jennifer played king c6. She's not great at resigning, not used to it. Usually winning her games, but yeah, Carissa's going to win this one. So Carissa, 3-0, very impressive. And I just want to see Tadev's position. Tadev also looks good here. Rook f7, king g3, rook e7. And now it's going to be really hard for white to hold all of these pawns together. Has to play here basically, but feels like that this should be winning for black. Take, and rook d7 or d4, d3, and black's pawns are very strong. Okay, maybe there's some stuff like this. Yeah, got to be careful, but maybe like rook d7 first, and then you're ready to push, and then push, and seems good. Go Tatev. Go Tatev. Okay. Fabi game, king f7. Well, king came from f7, so bishop d6, and then it's kind of what they had. So he goes this way, king d7, king e4 from Ray, and finally takes on b4. King e4, he kind of allowed him to take on b4 because... But okay, he was starting to take on d4. So either white allows rook takes d4, because now c6 is defended, or king e4, he allows this one, because now rook d5, there's cd5 check. So either way, black was winning a pawn. So this is actually just very simple approach from Fabi. He just comes and defends the d pawn. Had white traded here, then takes, and yeah, I think in the long run, white is pretty much just losing this. Actually, it doesn't have to go c3 here. You can go check and take this one. And then this is hanging, and yeah, ultimately the knight is just too strong here. So looks like good technique from Fabi. So here takes rook c1, and yeah, extra pawn. Rook b3. Ooh, and now he has designs of king e6 and f5 mate. So Fabi up to his dirty tricks as usual. He can't do it right away because c pawn is hanging, but you know, white tries to activate the rook, then king, see, there you go. But okay, now he has rook takes g6 at least. So Ray is aware of this one. So rook g1, he's still fighting. You can go g5 as black. That looks like a safe move, but then okay, white at least gets some f5 score for the king. Okay, move 40. So they make the time control. They got 30 extra minutes now. Caruana trying to make sure his move is precise. Because he has g5, he also has the option to get a tempo with king e8 and then defend the pawns like with king f7, so you're not really committing, but I'm not sure if this is really worth it. It seems reasonable, but g5 also seems totally fine. Knight on d5 is just rock solid. Like, this is such a nice construction for black. Love it. It's like a crystal, you know, it's like king is defending pawn, pawn defends knight, knight defends pawn, pawn defends pawn, pawn defends pawn. Rook is cool. Rook is cool. No one's worrying about the rook. And then we still got this and this idea. King e6 played. Oh, okay, so he calculated something. Oh, yeah, rook takes g6. He has king f7. Oh, so this is just game over. This is just game over. Oh, so he did blunder in king e6. See, I told you guys, he did blunder in a king e6. He made some rook move, and now king e6 is possible. Because takes king f7, you just lose the piece. So that's game over. Otherwise, f5 mates. Yeah, so just king e6. That's it. They did make move 40, so Ray has 30 minutes now, but yeah, king e6 is easy stuff. I like how he spent a good chunk of time too. He's really like double checking, just making sure he sees everything. King e6, and we got mates, it takes king f7. Making sure that there's no tricky moves with the rook or the bishop or anything, and no stalemate, and that's it. Okay, so Ray's gonna resign. So Fabi wins, so he's getting to 2 out of 3. Hans on 2 out of 3. Sevian, I think, is holding against Mishra. Oh yeah, that one's already a draw, actually. They just made a draw. Shanklin probably draw against So. And Levon, ooh, this position. Levon against a Wonder beat Levon in this tournament a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly. And he has 2 pawns up, and he might win again. Because he's 2 pawns up, which is kind of a lot. Okay, go Wonder. Might be winning this one. Okay, let me just take a look at the women's. Yeah, Carissa won. And looks like others are still playing. Actually, not too many games here. This game, Italia and Rose, looks crazy. Tadev looks winning, I think. K6, nice. Oh, white playing for some counterplay, but king feels like it should be able to hide. All right, cool. Okay, folks, I got to pack it up here. Get ready to go down to the club to film the recap. So that's going to do it for today's stream. Looks like we got about 3.5 hours in. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. I got the lights back up. Nice little glow. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, round 4, U.S. Championships. I'm going to keep covering the games. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Shout out to Twitch. Shout out to YouTube. And yeah, tournament continues. I wish you all the best of luck with your chess improvement as usual. If you guys need something, you know where to find us, ChessDojo.club. Lots of new features coming to the site soon and recently released as well. Yeah, folks, it's been real.